This is Emily from Python Passion on Tumblr, and we're going to talk reptiles. Warning, things are about to get nerdy. I posted a question about a week ago on what I should talk about, what you guys want to learn, or what you're interested in. The only response I actually got was about reptile enrichment. Thought that was pretty cool. It's been a pretty hot topic recently, so I thought I would go ahead and research that and let you guys know what I found. The most comprehensive article that I could find was actually back in 1995 by a guy named Mark Hayes. Probably the only thing I missed from college is being able to access all of those awesome scientific articles on Google Scholar. Anyway, he first outlines why this hasn't been looked to in the first place. One of the reasons being that because reptiles and amphibians have much lower metabolic rates, their movement and activity level is much lower than your standard mammal. They thought that this also meant they don't need as much enrichment, stimuli, also repetitive movements, i.e. pacing, that sort of thing. You see that a lot in mammals that are bored in captivity, however you rarely if ever see this in reptiles and amphibians. So we didn't have a very obvious clue that these animals were not doing as well psychologically or physiologically. Finally, reptiles are a lot less known to your average person than mammals. One of these reasons being that they're just more distantly related. We have a lot in common with primates, monkeys, anything with fur essentially, but reptiles are much farther back, and so that's when people start to feel detached. That detachment also comes from the lack of common body language. Reptiles, unfortunately, are very cryptic. They don't have very obvious body language. They can be very hard to read. They're not that exciting most of the time, and so that's when people lose interest as well. However, now that we have this great solid foundation of general knowledge concerning the captive keeping of reptiles and amphibians, private individuals as well as zoological collections are really looking to step their game up, looking to more accurately replicate their natural environments, help them reproduce in captivity, and just make better displays overall for their animals and the public. The article outlined 3 main types of enrichment for reptiles and amphibians. 1. Contact with the same species, or conspecifics. 2. Interactions with other species. And 3. The physical characteristics of their environment. Today, we will be addressing contact with conspecifics. The benefits really depend on the individual species' response to increased population density, or the number of those species in a certain contained environment. There are 2 main risks associated with this. 1, territorial aggression, and 2, just housing different size classes together. In species where there's territorial aggression, you usually find that aggression being put out by the males. This is increased during the breeding season between the same sex, so the males and males. However, you will see it between males and females, especially outside of the breeding season. When you house different size classes together, the subordinates, or the smaller individuals, risk very serious injury and even death. The main cause of death in this situation is cannibalism. Have you tried this? They call it human. However, there are incidences with toads, frogs, salamanders, lizards, and snakes where when you house different size classes together, they actually establish hierarchies. So you have your dominant individual and then you have the ones below it. Then the only really risk for those subordinates is not having enough access to certain resources like food, water, and shelter. It can cause them to have slower growth rates and maybe not reproduce successfully. It is very difficult to measure the levels of stress, however. The 2 best ways in reptiles is to measure their growth rate and then get levels of their plasma corticosteroid levels. Big word. A corticosteroid is just any hormone that's produced by the adrenal gland. Although even if we were able to successfully get data from captive populations, we still don't have that solid baseline from wild populations. So really anything we find in captivity is irrelevant until we can find what the normal is. Adversely, keeping an animal in isolation can be just as harmful as keeping it in high densities. The main reason for this being certain amphibians like frogs, toads, they need to have other individuals around them so they can learn to recognize each other. They need to know the vocalizations, the smells, in order to be able to find the different sex, those of their same population. This aids in reproduction as well as general physiological health. Also, if trying to successfully achieve reproduction in snakes, for example, if you keep the male and female together all the time, they basically become super saturated with each other's scent. There are several ways to combat this. Usually what breeders do is they will remove one of the sexes and then replace them a little while later. Usually it's the removal of the female, however, sometimes the male is removed. And this way the scent kind of dissipates, and then when you reintroduce them, it's business time. Or in the case of rattlesnakes or carpet pythons, for example, there's actually male combat where the two males kind of get together and they do this wrestling thing and the winner gets the lady. Well, if you introduce a male and they combat, that sometimes kind of, gets their testosterone pumping a little bit. Finally, and probably most importantly, just duplicating the change in seasons, so decreasing photo periods or increasing photo periods, changing the temperature, dropping day and night temps, even duplicating rain showers, monsoon seasons, decrease in humidity, increase in humidity. These will often be enough of a trigger to help individuals or pairs reproduce successfully. That's all for today. This is my diamond python Jax. He just wanted to come say hello. Thanks for watching, you guys. Follow me, Python Passion, on Tumblr. You can message me if you have any questions, if you want to hear about something else. I'll get back to you as soon as I can.